So I need to talk to you a little bit about how to solve inequalities that involve multiplication and division, because it's a little bit different than solving equations with multiplication and division. So you've seen the problems where we have 4x is less than 12, right? We did 4x is equal to 12 before, and we found that x was 3. The way we did that was we still divide both sides by the number that's on x because it's being multiplied, and we get x is less than 3, which tells me that I have a 3 in the center of a line, right, where it's an open circle because it's open here and going to the left, because that tells me which direction it's going. But what happens if the number that we're dividing by is negative? So if I had something like negative 4x is less than or equal to 16. Well, now I'm still going to divide by negative 4, but the difference is that when I divide by a negative or multiply by a negative, meaning the x is negative, not the number, right? The 4 is negative, but that makes this whole x negative. I don't care about 16 being negative. Since the 4 is negative, that makes the x negative. And since the x is negative, that tells me that at the end, I'm going to have to take this symbol and flip it. So my rule is that when I multiply or divide by a negative number, that meaning the x is negative, then we are going to have to flip our symbol. Because see, we're trying to find every value of x that would make this portion less than or equal to 16. However, the only way to do that is to pick values that are bigger than negative 4. And so that's why we're talking about flipping this symbol. I mean, we can still graph this, right? It's going to be a closed dot, right, on top of our number line, going to the right. But if you were to screw that up, it would look like it's going to the left, which is incorrect. So let's try a multiplication one. Let's say I said negative 9 is greater than x over negative 3. So to undo this negative 3 that is with the x, we have to multiply both sides by negative 3. So again, the x is negative. So that crosses those 3's out. That makes 27 on this side. So continuing down your line, you should notice that this is going to have an x then. But since I multiply by a negative, that means I'm going to have to take this symbol and I'm going to have to flip it. Now, if you remember, we don't really know which way to graph that because, well, it's located on the wrong side. See, x should be on the left. And so then we have to flip again, right, everything, so that it makes a mirror image. You say, well, why do I need to flip it to begin with? Well, if you don't, then x is going to be located on the left-hand side with the wrong symbol pointing towards it. So you have to be very careful. So this is going to be a line with 27 on the bottom with an open circle going to the right because our arrow tells us it's going to the right. So you just have to be really careful. Just remember that if you're multiplying or dividing by a negative at the end, that you have to flip your symbol. And then anytime you have to flip the whole thing, you always do the mirror image.